Imagine waking up in a facility surrounded by frozen corpses, getting pulled around by hooks, being force-fed some kind of liquid nutrition that's meant to both fatten you up to look like a blob and dilute all of your intelligence, all to be taken to a hive of gigantic monsters that rip your skin off and eat you alive. And that's if you're lucky. Because where you are is a certified hell on earth called the Cradle, tucked away beneath the ground and used as both a human slaughterhouse and experimentations and, let's say, enhancements that could be made on the human form. To say Starving Anonymous is horrific is an absolute understatement. Let me tell you straight up, as a massive fan of the series Gantz, in the short 61-chapter run for the entire story of Starving Anonymous, this manga goes full-on 100% fucked up levels that are on par with my favorite sci-fi horror series, Gantz. This will give you guts, blood, brutality, and some of the craziest body horror out there. All I'm saying is that if you're a fan of things like Hostel or Human Centipede, you're gonna feel right at home with this one. But amidst all the carnage, this manga does do a very good job, once again within its short run, to delve into a lot of the backstory for the characters that we're reading and give them fully fleshed out personalities and motivations, as well as constantly ramping up the intensity as we move forward and uncover the mystery about this strange facility that our cast is trying to escape from. The amount of twists and turns the story takes actually complements the horror and the gore in an exciting way, and the author uses particular things that happen, for example, a character being sliced in half, to actually give an outlet to explain some important plot elements, and I'm not kidding, and it's actually really impressive. The writing can make you go from anxiety to cheering to going, oh shit, and then back into fear all over again within just a couple of pages. It follows a group of about 4 to 5 people who wake up in this strange hellhole and notice the tubes of food they are feeding people with are making them docile and compliant just to sit there patiently, continuing to eat until the time comes to harvest them. So they go without eating long enough for the guards to come in, they attack them, and then they run through the facility trying to find a way to escape. But as they go from room to room and level to level, they continue to uncover more dark secrets about how deep this human slaughterhouse really goes. Not only are humans being fattened up and fed to monsters, but there's also an entire level focused on breeding, giving people drugs that make them constantly horny and want to fuck for days. I'm hoping it's some kind of herbal supplement like maca root, but it's probably about a dozen of those gas station pills because it makes the men completely brain dead and unable to stop until they've busted enough nuts to kill them. Though, personally, between this and the humans that are fed to be fat, we know which one I would choose. But I don't think you actually get a choice if you wind up here. But then the babies are taken away just like a calf from its mother and used to begin the process of their own livestock. And now let's get to the monsters. These things are fucking terrifying. Gigantic, 2-story tall, praying mantis-looking motherfuckers that, like I said, can, without hesitation, just rip your skin off your bones and eat you alive. Reminiscent of the Berserk Eclipse in the way that they devilishly relish in the consumption of humans. They're fast, deadly, and also breed incredibly quick. But their appetite is almost insatiable, which is why they require so many humans. Now, the reasons why people are working here at this facility and helping to feed these creatures goes into some heavy spoilers, so I don't want to go into full detail. But let's just say it hit my sensibilities because of how up it's connected to people governing the world. It reminds me of how the rich elite are all using us as pawns and batteries to perpetuate a system that we didn't ask to be born into. I don't know if that's actually the commentary the writer is trying to make with the story, but one can easily see how it relates. As well, with the dehumanization of others and the neglect they have for those born in poverty-like circumstances, unlikely to rise above, most people just grab the feeding tube of life, sit there, and let their brains go numb. Maybe they're just shoving fast food in the news through those tubes. Actually, it is kind of like real life. The more I think about this, the more real life this manga feels. What the hell? We need to wake up. We need to break out. We need to fight the giant praying mantis of life. Who's with me? Okay, but anyways, let's talk about the characters. Okay, so this ragtag group of escapees consists of, Well, there's Lee, who I guess is our main character, and I say I guess because most of the bulk of the story and plot is done through the other characters. Lee is more like the vessel for the audience. He wakes up here, he doesn't know what's happening, he asks the right questions, he learns things as it goes on, but he's not really a compelling character in his own right. The two other major players, though, good God. Okay, first we have Natsun, who is vowing to kill all of these monsters and the humans that allow the operation to take place. He only carries around one big-ass knife, but dear lord does he get the job done with it. He's definitely the resident fighter of the group, and when his backstory and powers are revealed, it just makes him 10 times cooler than he already was. But then we have Yamabiki. Okay, so this guy is insane. Just absolutely, like, how do I put this? He has genius-level intellect. He's excited and curious about how everything works. He wants to know the chemistry and the biology behind it all. He's sort of like Hanji from Attack on Titan when it comes to needing to understand and being so happy-go-lucky about it despite the horrific circumstance that he's in. And he's also incredibly horny, like all the time. And no, he has not been taking any of those drugs I mentioned before. He just is. And he's also flamingly bisexual. And his sexuality is used in many ways throughout the story, mostly for humor at first, but then we also see how he uses it to get whatever he wants and to manipulate people to be where he wants them. But then towards the end of the manga, we get a history on some childhood trauma that made him such a sexual deviant, and it's truly, honest to God, fucked up and really sad. It spins the entire thing on its head, and to me it was the most uncomfortable part of the story. And this is a story where people's heads are getting ripped off their bodies, so just proceed with caution here. On the antagonist side of things, there are several, but I want to talk about this guy, Kiryu. He is a scientist working at the facility who specializes on experimentations to push the limits of human potential. Really, it's all in the service to better feed the monsters, but the results are pretty horrifying. This may as well be the doctor from Human Centipede, or that old guy from Tusk that turned Justin Long into a walrus. Yeah. This guy cuts people up, sews them back together, and created hideous, disgusting husks of human beings that have been broken to the point that all they can do is perform the skill they were designed for. One human actually has a cloaking invisibility to him, and the scene where this creation is hunting and stalking the main characters through the ventilation shafts will scar frantic, nightmarish images into your mind for years to come. The only negatives I have about this manga is that the main character is pretty bland compared to the supporting cast, and that I do feel like the manga wraps up rather quickly once it gets into its third act. With the potential of what was happening towards the end, they really could have pushed this and used everything so far as basically a prologue and then continued into some crazy post-apocalyptic shit. But instead, they kept it more contained. But this also works because 90% of the story is taking place within the facility itself, so keeping it mostly locked in here makes it feel a lot more claustrophobic and kind of like a true Alien film. Actually, I see influences from all over with this story. There's Alien, Gantz, Hostel, maybe some Cabin in the Woods as well. This manga came out in 2014 and went until 2018, so all things considered, it still is relatively new. I don't know if they would or could make an anime adaptation of it with how insane some of the horror and gore gets, but I would absolutely be down to see it if they did. Even while reading it, in my mind, I was kind of picturing it like a live-action, low-budget horror movie. I also don't think many people have covered it yet, so it could be a good manga to get into before it gets rediscovered and hyped up again. Ultimately, I love stories about human survival, about the brutality of existence and needing to fight your way through to see another day. Starving Anonymous gave me that alongside an intense ride of dread, mystery, character depth, and appeal to the conspiracy theorist within me. If you told me that the government is harboring gigantic godlike creatures and harvesting human beings to feed them to further perpetuate the existence of their tyrannical oppressive hold over the people, I would say, yeah, duh, that sounds pretty legit. Anyway, if you need some horror in your life, go read Starving Anonymous. And if you liked the video, please like it and subscribe to the channel if you have not already. Trying to reach 100k subs by the end of the year, and I would be super appreciative if you could help me get there. And if you'd like to support the channel a little bit more, I could use the help now more than ever, as I am trying to pursue YouTube full time. So check the links in below for my Patreon, where I offer a bunch of perks, including promos, shoutouts, one-on-ones, and even as low as $1 a month could really help me out. Other than that, I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day. Stay vigilant out there, and I'll talk to you next time.